There are moments in life when the waiting feels endless. When the nights grow cold and silent, and it seems as though God has turned away. You've prayed, you've cried, you've believed. Yet the door stays closed, the answer delayed, the miracle postponed. But hear me clearly today. God's silence does not mean His absence. His delay does not mean denial. When God finally moves, when His divine timing unfolds before your eyes, it will not just bring relief, it will bring tears. Not tears of pain, but tears of overwhelming joy, because you will suddenly understand why it took so long. You will realize that while you were waiting, God was working. While you were wondering, God was preparing. And when His perfect timing arrives, it will make you cry. Because the beauty of what He does will leave you speechless. You see, God is not limited by your calendar. He is not pressured by your impatience. He does not rush because of your emotions. God's timing is divine, eternal, flawless. You may think He's late, but He's actually right on schedule. You may think the delay is punishment, but it's protection. God is not holding something back to hurt you. He's holding it back to bless you at the right moment. When the right time comes, not a second early, not a minute late, everything will align. The doors, the people, the opportunities, all falling into place like pieces of a divine puzzle. You will look back and realize that if God had answered you sooner, you would have settled for less. If He had opened that door before you were ready, you would have lost what He wanted to give you. Many of you are standing in a season of waiting. You've been faithful. You've done everything right, but nothing seems to change. You're tempted to question if God even hears you. You're wondering if maybe you missed His voice, or if perhaps you've been forgotten. But I tell you the truth, God never forgets. God never misplaces His children. He knows your name. He knows your pain. And He knows the exact second when your breakthrough must come. You may not see it yet, but your waiting has purpose. Every tear you've cried is watering the soil for your next blessing. Every disappointment you've endured is shaping you for divine promotion. Every delay has been the hand of God positioning you for something so glorious that when it happens, you will cry not because it hurts, but because you will be overwhelmed by the goodness of God. Think about it. Every great move of God in history began with waiting. Noah waited for the rain. Abraham waited for the promise. Joseph waited in the pit. And every one of them probably felt what you feel right now. Forgotten, overlooked, weary. But when God's timing arrived, it turned their entire story around. Noah saw the floodgates of heaven open. Abraham saw a son in his old age. Joseph saw the prison turn into a palace. What looked like delays were actually divine setups. The waiting was never wasted. And neither is yours. God is building something in your life that cannot be rushed. Some blessings are too sacred to be delivered quickly. They require time to strengthen your faith, to humble your heart, to purify your motives, and to align your spirit with the will of God. There are some prayers you prayed that God could have answered instantly, but He didn't, because He wanted to show you something greater. He wanted to show you that His blessings are not earned by desperation, but released through transformation. He is changing you while you wait. He is teaching you to trust when nothing makes sense, to believe when everything looks impossible, and to stand when you feel weak. You may not understand it now, but one day you will. One day you'll look back at this season and say, now I see why God made me wait. You'll say, if that door had opened, I would have been destroyed. If that relationship had worked, I would have lost myself. If that opportunity had come sooner, I would not have been ready. You will cry because you'll see how every delay, every heartbreak, and every detour was divine protection in disguise. Sometimes God slows you down because the path ahead is not clear yet. He can see what you cannot. He sees the traps, the wrong people, the unseen dangers that would have consumed you. So He keeps you still, not to punish you, but to protect you. You call it delay, God calls it deliverance. You call it silence, God calls it strategy. You call it waiting, God calls it preparation. And when His time arrives, everything you've been praying for will rush into your life so powerfully that you'll weep in disbelief. You'll realize that God didn't forget your prayers, He was perfecting them. Oh, how often we try to run ahead of God. We think we know what's best. We want control. We want the blessing now. But if you could see the full picture of what God is doing, you would fall to your knees and thank Him for every delay. You would thank Him for every unanswered prayer, for every closed door, for every not yet. Because behind those divine delays are miracles that require maturity. God cannot give you something that your character cannot sustain. He cannot release a blessing that would destroy you if received too soon. The waiting is His mercy. The delay is His love. I want to speak to those who feel like life has stopped moving. You've been doing everything you can, and yet you feel stuck. Let me tell you, you are not stuck, you are stationed. God has stationed you in a season of stillness so He can align everything around you. While you're waiting, God is working behind the scenes, touching hearts, rearranging circumstances, removing what doesn't belong, preparing what must come. You can't see it, but heaven is busy on your behalf. And when the curtain lifts and God's timing explodes into your reality, it would be so sudden, so overwhelming that you will cry out, God, I didn't see this coming. You will cry because the goodness of God will hit you like a wave, washing away the years of disappointment, erasing the nights of tears, and replacing sorrow with unspeakable joy. The reason God makes you wait is because He's building testimony through time. If everything came instantly, you'd never learn to value it. You'd never understand His ways. But when you've prayed for years, cried through nights, and stood firm through storms, and then God finally moves, you'll fall on your knees in gratitude. You'll say, God, You were there all along. That's when the tears come. Not the tears of pain, but of holy awe. The kind of tears that come when you realize you were never forgotten. The kind of tears that flow when you see how every struggle was leading you to this divine moment. You'll cry because the timing was so perfect that only God could have arranged it. Many people lose their faith in the waiting. They confuse delay with abandonment. But faith is not proven when everything happens instantly. Faith is proven in the silence, in the waiting, in the darkness. When you choose to trust God, even when nothing moves, that's real faith. And when you refuse to give up, when you keep believing despite the delay, you move the heart of God. There is something powerful about a believer who waits without complaining, who prays without demanding, who trusts without doubting. That kind of faith catches God's attention. That kind of patience invites heaven's intervention. You may be at your breaking point right now, thinking, I can't wait any longer. But I tell you, you're closer than you think. The moment right before a breakthrough often feels like the heaviest test. That's because the enemy knows you're almost there. He knows God's timing is near. So he fills your mind with doubt, your heart with fear, and your spirit with impatience. But don't let him trick you into giving up now. You've come too far to quit. You've endured too much to surrender. God's timing is about to collide with your faith. And when it does, you won't just receive what you prayed for. You'll receive more than you ever imagined. Do not measure God's love by how fast he answers. Measure it by how deeply he cares. He is not a God of instant gratification. He is a God of perfect manifestation, and his manifestations are worth the wait. When God finally releases that blessing, it will not just meet your need, it will exceed your expectations, it will silence your enemies, it will heal your heart, it will restore what you lost, and you will cry because you'll know it could only be God. Some of you have been through years of heartbreak, betrayal, and struggle. You've lost people, lost hope, lost confidence. But let me tell you, you are about to see why you had to go through it. God's timing will make every pain make sense. Every tear you shed will turn into joy. Every wound will become wisdom. Every loss will become a lesson to build the foundation for your blessing. And when that blessing arrives, you will cry because you'll see that nothing was wasted. Not one tear, not one heartbreak, not one lonely night. You thought the waiting meant God forgot you. But he was preparing you for something that would blow your mind. God's timing will always look late to the human eye, but it's perfect in the spiritual realm. He knows exactly when to release your promotion, when to send your breakthrough, when to reveal your purpose. And when he does, it will happen so fast that it will feel like a dream. You'll say, is this really happening? And tears will roll down your face because the pain of the past will collide with the joy of the present. If God answered every prayer instantly, you would never develop endurance. You would never learn to walk by faith. Waiting builds trust. Waiting builds character. Waiting refines your spirit. It teaches you to depend on God's will, not your own understanding. It teaches you that blessings are not earned by effort alone, but released by divine timing. The longer the wait, the greater the weight of glory that comes after. God's greatest blessings often require the longest preparation. That's why the pain is so intense, because the promise is so massive. When God's timing comes, it will heal what broke you. It will restore what you lost. It will lift what you thought was gone forever. There will be a moment in the quietness of your heart when you'll realize that God's hand was upon you the entire time. You'll see how He kept you from destruction, how He hid you from danger, how He protected you from wrong people, and how He prepared you for your destiny. And you will cry, not out of sorrow, but because you'll finally see the faithfulness of God in full color. His timing will reveal what your pain once hid. When God is preparing to move in your life, He will first teach you patience through divine silence. That silence is not punishment, it is spiritual training. God hides His hand so that you may strengthen your trust. When everything feels still, when nothing is changing, that's when the roots of your faith are growing deep beneath the surface. God uses silence to sharpen your hearing. He wants you to learn how to sense His presence even when you can't feel it. He wants you to trust His purpose even when you can't see it. You see, when God delays, it's not because He's forgotten you. It's because He's perfecting something that can only be shaped through time. You might not understand what He's doing, but one day His plan will unfold so beautifully that you'll break down in tears. You'll cry because the waiting, the silence, and the struggle will suddenly make sense. There are moments when God will take everything away, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you on a stronger foundation. Sometimes He removes people, opportunities, or comfort so that your eyes will be lifted back toward Him. God will never compete for your attention. When He sees that your heart is being pulled toward worldly things, He will lovingly shake your world to bring you back to the place of dependence. That shaking is not a curse, it's a calling. It's God saying, trust me again. And when you return to Him, when you learn to depend not on people but on His timing, you'll discover a peace that this world cannot offer. Then when His blessing finally arrives, it won't just make you happy, it will make you cry, because you'll realize that the same pain that once broke you was the instrument that brought you closer to God. Sometimes what feels like delay is actually divine disguise. God will hide your blessing behind obstacles, not to frustrate you, but to prepare you. He allows certain doors to remain closed because He knows what is waiting behind them must not be entered without strength, wisdom, and spiritual maturity. If He opened it too soon, it could destroy you. God's timing ensures that when you receive what you've been praying for, you are ready to handle it with gratitude, not arrogance, with humility, not pride. The longer the wait, the deeper the lesson. The deeper the lesson, the greater the blessing. That's why when the day comes, when everything suddenly falls into place, it will move you to tears. You will look back and realize that every not yet, every closed door was a holy setup for something far beyond your imagination. There are also times when God delays because He's protecting you from unseen enemies. You may think the delay is holding you back, but in truth it's saving you. God can see what you cannot. He knows who truly loves you and who only pretends to. He knows which opportunity is divine and which one is a trap. He knows which path leads to life and which one leads to destruction. So when He delays, it is often because He is clearing the path before you. He's removing what could have destroyed your peace, corrupted your purpose, or distracted your soul. You'll cry when you finally see it. When you realize how many battles God fought in silence, how many disasters He prevented without your knowledge, and how many times He held you back from walking into something that looked good but was dangerous. When that revelation hits you, you will cry in awe of how carefully God has loved you. You may feel that the waiting season is lonely, but that's because God often calls you into isolation before elevation. The greatest blessings are birthed in private, not in public. God will take you away from the noise so He can refine your character in the quiet. He will strip away distractions, people and attachments until your heart beats only for Him. And when that process is complete, when your dependence is no longer on the world, but on God alone, then He will release what He promised. When it comes, it will not be a small thing. It will be something that will touch every corner of your life. Something that will make you fall to your knees with trembling gratitude. You will cry because the fulfillment will be so beautiful, so precise, so full of divine detail, that you'll know it could have come from no one but God. There will also come a day when you'll thank God for not giving you what you once begged for, because not everything you wanted was meant for your destiny. Some desires were distractions dressed as dreams. Some people you cried over were never meant to stay. Some opportunities you chased were never meant to be yours. God's mercy sometimes comes disguised as rejection. He closes doors not because He hates you, because He loves you too much to let you destroy yourself. One day you will cry tears of gratitude, not regret, because you'll see how God's no was really a better yes, waiting at the perfect time. Every season of waiting has a hidden assignment. God uses delay to develop discipline. He uses disappointment to strengthen discernment. He uses pain to deepen purpose. While you're focused on the destination, God is focused on your transformation. He's not just trying to get you to the promise. He's trying to prepare you to keep it. Many people can receive a blessing, but not everyone can sustain it. That's why God works more on you than on the thing you're praying for. The miracle isn't just what you receive, it's who you become while waiting. And when the blessing finally arrives, the tears that flow will not only be for what you became, but for who you became. There are some breakthroughs that are so powerful. God has to bring you to the edge of surrender before He releases them. He has to break your will so His will can rise. He has to let everything else fail so that you finally depend only on Him. It's when you stop striving, stop panicking, and simply say, God, whenever you're ready, I trust you, that heaven begins to move. The waiting becomes a sacred space. A space where your heart is purified, your priorities are rearranged, and your faith becomes unshakable. That's when God steps in. That's when His timing unfolds. And when it does, you'll cry because it will be so sudden, so magnificent, and so right that all the pain will fade in the light of His glory. You might not know this, but every second you wait faithfully is being recorded in the divine plan. God sees your effort. He sees your patience. He sees the nights you cried yourself to sleep, whispering prayers no one else heard. Not a single tear has gone unnoticed. Every tear is a seed. Every prayer is a deposit. Every act of faith, even the smallest one, is building your harvest. And when the time comes, that harvest will come back multiplied, pressed down, shaken together.